Hi everyone, it's Ben.
And today's natural curiosity is this
Gorgeous eastern banjo frog,
or pobblebonk frog.
Now they're called that because of the call that the male makes
When he's trying to attract females during the breeding season.
The noise that the male
Male will make sounds like, some people think it sounds like a banjo when it's being plucked.
and it goes kind of like bonk. And when you've got a whole bunch of these doing it all together,
Together, it can sound like pobblebonk.
and it's quite an extraordinary noise, and it can be very, very loud
As well, so you get these all over eastern Australia.
They're quite a big frog. They'll grow to between
5 and 8 centimetres.
You can see the beautiful markings on this frog. They're very easy to pick or to identify. You can see from the eye down at the shoulder. You can see that pinky orange band, that raised band from the eye down to the shoulder. The hind legs have got that really, really big gland on it. That's called a tibial band. And almost down at the ankle, don't know if you can see that white half circle shape. That's actually what you call a tubercle. And what that does is, on this frog you can see that its toes aren't webbed. It doesn't have discs on its toes. That means that it's actually a ground frog. So these frogs are very good at digging using those tubercles on their hind feet, those raised edges. They're like a bit of cartilage.
And what they'll do is they'll dig in
Using their hind legs.
and dig themselves into the ground. And that's actually how I found this one today. I found this one when I was digging in the garden, and why these frogs will bury themselves into the ground is when there isn't enough water around for them.
They'll dig themselves into the ground until
It's a bit wetter,
you'll always find them near water.
because when they breed, the female will lay up to 4,000 eggs, and she lays that on a foamy mass. And the females of these frogs,
You can usually identify, this one looks like a male, but the first and second toe on the front foot will usually have a little bit of webbing, and the female uses that so that she can whip up the water. So that, combined with a special chemical that's on her skin, will turn the water into a big frothy mass, and that's where she'll have her eggs. And then she'll also use that flap of skin between her front two toes
to aerate the eggs.
when the eggs of this particular frog
Hatch, it takes about
15 months, so over a year, for those eggs to turn into tadpoles. For those tadpoles to turn into frogs. If it's a bit warmer, the tadpoles will turn into frogs a little bit quicker, and then as soon as they're frogs, they're pretty much independent.
and
These will hop around, being one of the larger frogs that we find. They hop around and they literally will eat just about any other little animal they can get in their mouth, particularly bugs and grubs, insects, sometimes even other smaller frogs. Having said that, something else that's really cool about the eastern banjo frog, or pobblebonk frog, is that they are very protective of their young. And you will, when the egg mass has been laid, one of the parents will always be nearby. And particularly the males, they'll usually burrow themselves somewhere near where that egg mass is, and they are very, very protective of the eggs. And another interesting fact is that when these guys breed and they have their egg masses, it's not uncommon for them to have a communal egg mass. So you have
lots
of different
pobblebonk frogs, eastern banjo frogs, sharing the same egg mass.
So very good in water. They're not very good at climbing.
any frog that you see that doesn't have discs on their toes is not going to be a good climber. This is today's natural curiosity. This is an eastern banjo frog or a pobblebonk frog.